Towson, most of you know who follow my journey. I spent 4 days in bed after catching a cactus cold out there. But one of the good parts of hanging out there was seeing this guy. He is now covering all things sports in Las Vegas. You know him from the USA Today, and if you were a boxing fan at any point, you're familiar with his work as well as a long-time work on the NFL that has now followed him to Las Vegas. He is John Saraceno. You can follow his journey at Johnny Saraceno out on Twitter as well as at the Las Vegas Review-Journal. John, you got a football team. You got the Raiders. Who knew, huh?
If you had told me that, Nestor, even 5 years ago, but 10 or 15, I would have got down on that bet really quickly that it never would ever happen. But stranger than fiction, the NFL is coming to Las Vegas. The Raiders aren't going to play here full-time, probably till 2019 or when the stadium opens in 2020. But shocking, to say the least.
Well, all right. You've been at this a long, long time. You covered the NFL. I read your NFL work long before the Ravens were here. You spent most of your time on the East Coast as a We Are Penn Stater and all that stuff. You spent a ton of time in Vegas. I mean, anybody that's familiar with your face and Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield and all those years you covered boxing, you spent as much time in Vegas as anyone in the sports space, the gambling space, all that stuff. That's kind of all been washed away, right? I mean, that is the new world, the new century in fantasy football and playing games in London where you can wager in the back. No one in the NFL is afraid of this. Should they be, John?
That's a good point. At one time, the gambling link in pro football, with all sports, was one of those territories that leagues and commissioners and owners did not want to breach. That has gone away. I'm sure there are a couple of old school owners that would rather not be in Las Vegas if they had their druthers. The fact of the matter is that the Raiders and their owner, Mark Davis, and the league had very little choice at this point because it became apparent that Alameda County was not going to build the Raiders a football stadium. So, in essence, they more or less had to come to Vegas because the state legislature here raised $750 million to build a football stadium, and the NFL was not going to walk away from $750 million in public funding to build a stadium. So when it comes to the gambling aspect, I think we've seen society's norms have changed, Nestor, regarding that topic. And it is a heavily regulated industry. And it's watched very closely, how money moves, how it's bet, how much is bet, when it's bet. That's not to say that something couldn't happen down the road. But when you think about it, with the internet, what prevents players from getting tapped on the shoulder no matter what city they play in? So there may even be less of a chance that something happens here. I think people regard Las Vegas as a town full of a bunch of wise guys, but really it's not that. Vegas has changed over the years. I've been coming here, I guess, about 32 years, as you noted, and it's not the same town. It's a town full of, actually there's bedroom communities in Summerlin and Henderson. There are people that live here that never go into a casino, much less go down to the Strip. Certainly, gambling does prevail here. It's why Las Vegas exists. It's why Bugsy Siegel helped found Las Vegas. So I don't think it's a factor. I think that's a good point. I just don't see it. Jerry Jones is involved in fantasy league football. So the owners are kind of looking the other way now at that topic. I don't think it scares them the way it once did.
Well, John, you've been in the East Coast, and look, we're celebrating 25 years of Camden Yards this week. We all remember the Colts leaving in the middle of the night. I know you covered the NFL all during that period as well at USA Today. And, we built this stadium here. And 25 years into this, everyone's sort of examining, like, well, what was the real upshot of the Orioles staying here instead of moving to D.C. In the 1980s with Edward Bennett Williams? And we spent all the money on the baseball, then we chased the football team. We got a football team. And when I look at 25 years of the Orioles, the only one that's really benefited from the Orioles and Camden Yards has been Peter Angelos. He's made about $3 billion off of this. No one else in the city has really gotten rich off of this, and he had nothing to do with the stadium being built. He just sort of usurped it after it was there. And Oakland, San Diego, St. Louis saying, we're not putting any more money into this, whereas Las Vegas says, well, we'll just charge everybody that comes to town a penny, and we'll come up with $750 million, and we'll put the team down. The weirdest part is when you talk about Summerlin and Henderson, and I've been to all those places, John, and at one point I thought of escaping to Vegas many years ago before the stock market crashed a decade ago. And I would say this, I would be like everyone else that would be coming to Vegas for the sunshine, the girls, the gambling, the pool, the action, all of that stuff. But there's a different thing about being a guy from Penn State or being a guy from Baltimore that wants to, paint your face purple or orange or whatever the team color. Vegas was much like L.A., not a place clamoring for a football team. I mean, there's no one that says, I'm from Vegas and Vegas is my home. And, that sort of provincial thing that pervades the East Coast and maybe the South when it comes to SEC football or whatever. I'm wondering how that works for Vegas, because Vegas has never really had to put a flag down and call itself a hometown for anybody other than wayward souls like yourself that want to come out there and get off on the sunshine. Are there going to be 50,000 people in real people, not casinos, that really buy into this and make the Raiders their own, in your opinion?
Well, that's a legitimate question. And I wonder the same thing. Las Vegas, as you know, market size for television is 40th. They just swapped out the sixth largest TV market, the Bay Area, for 40. And while population projections, I think, have Vegas going over 3 million within 10 years, it's a very good point you raised, because there's a lot of people here who are not from Las Vegas, of course, including yours truly. And I grew up a Cleveland Browns fan, as you know. So
I'm sorry. I'm sorry about all the pain. I really am.
Yeah, I am too. Trust me. So it's a legitimate question to wonder, gee, would I, after having covered more than 20 Super Bowls and been an NFL fan since Jimmy Brown ran roughshod over the league in the 60s, would I go to Raider games? Would I buy tickets? And the answer is, I might go to one or two games, but I don't think I'd buy a season ticket. Why? I'm not an Oakland Raiders fan. So, they've painted a very rosy picture about the number of tickets they could sell to people who do not live here, namely Los Angeles, where there are still a lot of Raider fans, the Bay Area, and some surrounding metropolitan areas. They think people are going to come in when they announce the schedule and Pittsburgh is playing in Las Vegas, that, the guy will tell his wife, hey, honey, I got to go see our Stillers, and I'm going to be gone for 3 days. And in fact, they've done projections where they say that the people who come to NFL games here will spend 3 days here, which is the average stay for a convention year. And that could be a specious number. It's possible, because I guess if you're going to come all the way from the East Coast to Vegas, why would you come for a day just to see a game? Not likely. If the game's Sunday, probably roll in Friday, I would think. Late Friday, though, after work possibly. So Saturday, Sunday. I guess you could call Friday a day.
Hey, John, man, you know I've been running trips forever, right? I mean, we've taken over 18,000 people. I have over 100 people already signed up for London. We play at the Raiders this year. Now, I have no idea where the hell the game's going to be, but I promise you, if for whatever reason they get some cold feet up in Oakland and decide to come to Sam Boyd Stadium, and I know there are a lot of challenges, there wouldn't be enough airplanes here at this point. Literally, and the schedule's coming out in 2 weeks. If the Ravens were playing in Vegas on September whenever this year or November whenever this year, it would be a game changer compared to going to Oakland. And this is our fans' last chance to go to the Black Hole and to see a game in the Bay Area. We're only going to play out there every 8 years. But the Vegas thing is really, really enticing for any visiting fan base. And, and you've traveled through enough of these airports on Sunday nights in the fall to know that that's a huge part of – it's been a huge part of my business and feeding my family over the last 20 years. You know?
Yeah, without a doubt, people would go and they'd be lured to it. But again, that's only part of it. And they're basing a large part of ticket sale projections on those people coming in droves. Now, then there's the aspect of people in Las Vegas. Las Vegas was hit harder by the recession than any city in the United States, particularly with the real estate market.
I'm familiar with that, intimately familiar with that, John.
Yeah, well, we all are. And we are overdue for a recession, way overdue, because we haven't had one in 8 or 9 years. So how will Vegas fare in a recessionary environment? Because it will come. Those are all legitimate questions to ask, and I don't have the answers. I can tell you that Vegas is growing. There are more jobs here. I don't know how many of them are just service industry jobs, but certainly there'll be construction jobs. So people will have discretionary income. Will they be able to afford a PSL and a season ticket? I don't know that, Nestor, and I think it remains to be seen if the NFL will be a resounding success in Las Vegas. I think it has to be proven. And I think some owners probably held their nose when they voted, because in a perfect world, you would not want to leave the Bay Area. But, of course, they really had little choice.
John, we'll visit again soon. I know your time is short. I appreciate you visiting with me. It's good seeing you. Congrats on your gig out there in Vegas. Sun shining, right? I mean, it's nice there, right?
You know me in sunshine. It is gorgeous. And I may see you sooner than you think. I'm coming into Baltimore for the fights this weekend.
Oh, well, look at that. Well, welcome home, as I would say to you. It's always great pleasure to see you. And, hey, man, last time I went to Vegas, I went to see the Stones, and Mick canceled the show. It was just it was a mess, you know what I'm saying? So I got to get back out there for the full Strip Sin City experience sometime soon. I'm working on that.
Well, you got my number. Hope to see you soon, Nestor.
I got a free crash pad with John Saraceno. Good seeing you, Johnny.
Okay.
He is Johnny Saraceno out on Twitter as well as at the Las Vegas Journal-Review. One of my favorite dudes and a good man and a longtime NFL and boxing aficionado and Pulitzer Prize nominated candidate, which I did not know that about John. I mean, I already had a lot of respect for John, but Pulitzer Prize nominated? We're going to talk about that next time. You can find me out in the Bayou Toyota Audio Vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device. Just download the TuneIn Radio app. It is opening day week. Happy opening day. Happy baseball to everyone. We got 162 more, and, of course, the Caps and the Wizards keeping us honest. The Liars Luncheon going on this week with Ozzie Newsome and Eric DeCosta and John Harbaugh out at the Castle. We're getting ready for the draft in 3 weeks. Busy time around here, but I'm having a good time. Anything you miss also will happen in the morning newspaper. It comes to your email inbox at 7 a.m. each and every morning. That is powered up by Planet Fitness and planetfitness.com. And if there's any breaking news at all, it comes first on the WNST text service. That is brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. And, of course, Dennis is here on Thursday driving you home with the SSV on WNST. Our aforementioned London trip now on sale. I think the Raiders are going to play in Oakland. We're not sure. The schedule comes out in 2 weeks. weeks. We'll have trips to Las Vegas, to Green Bay, Nashville, and Minnesota. Hopefully Las Vegas at some point, and maybe even 2 to Minnesota with the Super Bowl next year. You can get all that information under the Road Trips tab. We are offering $100 off to anyone who has been on a WNST road trip. That's more than 18,000 of you, so plenty of you are qualified for that. If you want to join us in London, toss me a note. Nasty at WNST.net does find me. Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook, as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. We are WNST.net, AM 1570 and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.